Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at the latest Motorola Android smartphone on AT&T. It's the Motorola Atrix HD. Despite the Atrix name, we've seen the Atrix and the Atrix 2 on AT&T, this guy has more in common with the Razr, honestly, in terms of looks. Kevlar back, Gorilla Glass on the front, nice looking sealed inside kind of battery. Only $99, but I like it. We're going to look at it now. The Motorola Atrix on AT&T is going to be available in a couple of days for only $99 with contract, and it's a lot of phone for the price. Really liking it so far. First off, we have a 4.5-inch, they call it a color boost LCD display. It isn't LCD, this is not AMOLED, this is not Super AMOLED, this is none of the AMOLED technologies, but very sharp, very bright. It kind of reminds me of LG's IPS smartphone displays. Just really nice, super duper colors, very good clarity. And we've got Gorilla Glass here, and you can see it's one of those ones with a little bevel to the glass. It's a little bit hard to see because it's so thin. It's an 8.9mm phone, but there's a curve to it. It just makes it look a little bit more luxurious and nice. I'm just a sucker for those curved glass displays. AT&T branding's pretty subtle. You just got the little globe symbol over there. From the side, you can see it's quite thin. It's available in white and in titanium. The white's kind of a pearlescent white. You can imagine titanium would be a silvery gray close to black and probably look more like your traditional Razr look. Thin phone, and this is your door right here where you can access the micro SD card slot. No card is included. And there's your micro SIM card slot. Oddly, the door doesn't have perfect alignment in ours. You can see this extends a little bit up here. And over there, the line has a gap. Now that may be just to make it easier to find, especially on the titanium unit, or that's just the way they designed it. As we look at the back here, it is Kevlar, just like the Razr, and that same kind of prism shape up here. Reminds me of the pentaprism on a digital SLR camera. Speaker up here. Gosh, loud, full speaker. 8-megapixel camera. Big old LED flash right there. And there's no way to take this back off. Just like the Razr, this phone is sealed. Nothing on the bottom. Side has a volume rocker, a little power button, and up top is where the rest of the action is. We have our micro USB slot and a micro HDMI port. Nice to still have that HDMI port, kind of disappearing from phones, so you gotta find an MHL adapter or wonder if it even supports that kind of thing. You got HDMI out here, and here's your headphone jack. So a good looking phone, a very Razr-esque phone. I confess I enjoy that. I've always had a little crush on the Razr, but as an AT&T customer, well, that did me no good. And the import versions of the Razr only had HSPA Plus and not LTE, and of course this guy has LTE for fast data speeds. So why do I like this phone so much? Not just because it's $99, because honestly in the life of a 2-year contract, saving yourself $100 isn't the most important thing. Having a phone you enjoy is, and that will last you. Other than the really excellent display here, we've got that 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 Crate CPU. That's the latest and greatest CPU, the same thing you'll find in the Galaxy S3 and the HTC One X, so it's fast. You have a gig of RAM, 8 gigs of internal storage, and not 16 like the two guys that sell for $199, the Galaxy and the HTC One X, but still that's plenty enough storage, and you can augment that with micro SD cards. But we've got Ice Cream Sandwich here, Android OS 4.04, and Motorola's Moto Blur software, well, it used to be one of our least favorite customizations. Now, wow, I really like this. Very clean. This lets Android show through more than any other manufacturer customization. I mean, Sense, TouchWiz, you name it. It really sticks to the spirit of Ice Cream Sandwich. You can see, in fact, we don't even have capacitive buttons here. We're going with those straight software buttons like Google had hoped, and well, since Google has bought Motorola, their influence may be showing already on this phone. Instead, we have the soft buttons here, back, home, multitasking key. If you want to get to your settings, there it is right there, your usual settings wheel. All very standard, clean-looking UI. So for those of you who really like the idea of the Galaxy Nexus, something clean, but you're finding those hardware specs a little bit dated already, or you're wanting LTE on AT&T, well, this one is certainly a good alternative because it really is pretty close to stock. Now, Motorola has done some customizations, and again, I like them really well. I like their new little widget right here, shows you your battery, your weather, the time right here. Also can show you how much data you've consumed since your last bill. And quick access to Motorola Smart Actions, something we've seen on the Razr phones. And you can set up all sorts of smart actions. There are some that it tries to learn how you use your phone and do it for you to save battery. For example, you go home and it sets it on a lower power mode. You go to work and it cranks up how often it's going to check email, whatever, that kind of thing. And here we have the Drive Smart one it's suggesting to us. And here, when it senses that you're driving, it can actually do a couple of things to improve so-called driver safety, like switch it to vehicle mode, set the ringer to loud, and automatically send a text message saying, "I'm driving, don't bother me." Of course, you shouldn't be answering any text messages either when you're driving, so if somebody responds, don't read it. Here we have our soft launcher for applications at the bottom, and this is also pretty cool, is what Motorola did. They're not just little buttons that you just tap on and then there they are, they launch your applications. You can swipe up with them. And there's all my bookmarks for the web browser. Kind of neat. For email, it'll show me any new messages I have. For the phone, it's going to show me who I called most recently. So nice little convenience touches, not obtrusive, not flashy, but things that make the phone more pleasant, more easy to use. And if we take a look at the application drawer, pretty much straightforward. Now you've got your apps and you've got your widgets and your access to Google Play Store right here built in. So again, pretty standard Android, and you can get to all of your apps by just side swiping. And what's neat, if you're in the habit of swiping up and down instead, for example, I've noticed that if you kind of do like a diagonal swipe, it works just as well too. The home screen has been customized in kind of an unusual way. You start out with just this home screen, and you know how it is with Android. You can swipe to either side to see your 5 additional home screens or so. With this one, I've already created this one. So this is all there is. If I go one more and it says add a page, and it lets you choose, do you want something started with the template, and you've got like social networking template right here, blank page template, that kind of thing. So you just say blank page if you just want another blank page, and then you start putting stuff there. So new take, certainly on the home screen concept. Don't give you 5 that you're never going to use and you're hunting for your icons. You pick them, you choose them, you customize them. In terms of software bundle, things are pretty restrained. You can see we have the usual Amazon Kindle on here and a couple of AT&T things like their Square barcode scanner, Family Map, AT&T Navigator, their Wi-Fi Finder application. I've downloaded Flash Player. It's not pre-installed. Make sure you do that before August 15th because it won't be available for new downloads after August 15th on the Android market. All the standard Google apps are here, of course, Google+, the YouTube Player, email, Gmail, all that stuff. We've got AT&T Live TV for those of you who like to subscribe to that streaming TV service. Quick Office is on board as well. And you can see you can create new Office document, access internal storage on your SD card with that. So view, create, edit. Phone also has VPN support for you business type users. Quick Light is bundled for video chat. You can use whatever you want. You can use Skype, you can use Google Talk, you could use Uvu, whatever your favorite is. And we have the inescapable Yellow Pages Mobile. The only bundle game is Real Racing 2, and if you actually want to play that, you're going to have to do a 450 meg download, so turn on your Wi-Fi for that. And you can see I have access to Motorola's Smart Actions here. So we've got charging reminders, sleep rules, meeting rules. So go into a meeting, you can turn on your meeting set, battery extender. If you're in a workout, headphones plugged in, launch the music application automatically. Pretty cool. It has a front 1.3 megapixel video chat camera, the usual GPS, Bluetooth, and it has dual band Wi-Fi 802.11 BGN. And speaking of wireless, you can see all the controls right here for all the features. We have the usual tethering and mobile hotspot feature. You can check out your data usage, turn Bluetooth 4.0 on and off. But you won't notice NFC here. Lately, phones have been coming with that. Not that there's much you can do if you have AT&T right now because it's not enabled to work with anything. We've got our VPN, Wi-Fi Direct, mobile network settings, and media share settings for DLNA, but no NFC here. The phone has excellent voice quality, very nice, loud, full, and clear on both ends. Call recipients couldn't tell we were on a mobile phone even when we were standing in a noisy big box store. Pretty impressive stuff. This is what your dialing UI looks like. Again, that's pretty straightforward and pretty loyal to Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich. You've got shortcuts to your most recent, your favorites, dialer application, and say we call 4 people at 611. This is what your dialer screen looks like. Giant hang up button. Be careful you don't hit that by accident while you're on call. And then we've got the dial pad, speaker, mute, add a call, put it on hold. Speakerphone, likewise, very loud and clear. And we'll play some video so you can hear what the speaker is like. Boy, loud. When it comes to data speeds, it does as well as any of the top Android phones on AT&T. We are in an LTE coverage area. And you can see our most recent results here. The bottom one being the most stunning, certainly. Fast data speeds. Good times. And that's with about a negative 93 dB signal. So decent signal, not even a stellar signal. Speaking of reception, it has good reception, and it also happens to have exactly the same reception signal strength on LTE as do the Galaxy S3 and the HTC One X. And now we've got our lineup of top AT&T phones here. We have the HTC One X, Motorola Atrix HD, the Galaxy S3 in blue, and the Sony Xperia Ion. So you can see they're all just about the same size. Though the Motorola has a 4.5-inch display. It's not so different in size from the 4.7, the 4.8-inch, and so on. But that's how they all look lined up together. Honestly, an attractive bunch of phones. Now these three all share the same CPU. You're looking at that Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 1.5 GHz dual-core CPU. The poor Sony Ericsson stuck back one generation with the S3 CPU, but as we said, honestly, they're all more than powerful enough to do anything you want them to do. The Sony Ericsson has a 12-megapixel camera. Arguably, it is the best among these for taking photos. The rest of them have their 8-megapixel cameras. And in terms of benchmarks, as you would expect, the guys that are running the same CPU here score about the same. The Atrix HD managed a 4627 on Quadrant, 6123 on Tutu, and an amazing 1314 on the Sunspider JavaScript test, where lower numbers are better. And generally 2000 is pretty darn good. When we see 1800, we're excited. So I guess we're ecstatic to see 1300 for a score. And the Egypt off-screen test was 55 frames per second. Also, again, same league as all these guys right here. Sony Ericsson Xperia, well, it scores a little bit slower because it has that last-gen CPU, though it does just about as well as on Tutu as the others, but Quadrant is at 3126. So now we'll see how it does playing 1080p video. I can tell you one interesting thing. When I went to play some movies, I tried a 1080p. These are all 1080p MPEG-4 high-profile clips. The one that had 5.1 audio, it wouldn't play. So we're not talking about a super abundance of video codecs pre-installed. Here, of course, you can install your own video player and get support for more. Really nice screen. And that rear-firing speaker sounds very good. You can see where the volume slider is. My God, it's already that loud, right? Amazing speaker on this thing. So, sure, no problem, 1080p video playback, and you can use that HDMI port up top, too, if you want to output that to a monitor or a TV or something like that. And next we're going to take a look at the camera. 8-megapixel rear camera, and it does a neat trick of shooting 1080p video, and you can shoot simultaneous photos at the same time. But I hate to say it, it's still Motorola. That means that the camera is not as good as the HTC One X or the Galaxy S3, or certainly the Sony Xperia Ion in terms of photo and video quality. Exposure is just a little, it's not hideous or anything like that, but if you're really looking for the best camera phone you can get, this one isn't the top on AT&T. So we've got our autofocus. We're shooting our beneficent basil plants, and we're going to switch to video. We're going to record video, and we're going to take some shots at the same time. So while other camera applications give you little thumbnails while you're taking those still shots to let you know what's happening, you saw this one just kind of does a little green line around the screen and flashes, but you can see we got a bazillion pictures of our plant here, and then there's our video of the plant, which on this gorgeous screen is going to look great. When you put it on your computer, it won't be as impressive. Good audio recording quality. And there are many shots of the plant. Not the world's most exciting exposure, if you can see what I mean. Not too bad, but not the best we've seen. And now we're going to check out Real Racing 2 to see how it plays games. Pretty game. Certainly demanding enough. Our initial eye candy, looking great, playing well. Alright, and this time we're going to race with our VW GTI. Really nice colors in this game, very pretty. Obviously it plays just fine, and it's very loud. The Atrix HD has a 1780 milliamp battery that's sealed inside, compared to the HTC One X, which has an 1800 milliamp battery in the Galaxy S3 with the 2100 milliamp battery. It's obviously the smallest by a small margin when compared to the HTC. So far, battery life has been pretty good for us, though. We managed to make it through the day with LTE active, making several phone calls, watching some YouTube videos, the usual stuff you do with your phone. If you're going to be streaming a lot of video, that kind of thing, well, you're going to be looking for a charger or some kind of external power source because you can't swap a new battery in with this one. So that's the Motorola Atrix HD on AT&T, $99 with contract. Bargain price there compared to the big boys, and gosh, you get a lot for your money. Really, it holds its own in every way. You've got that 1280 by 720p HD display, 1.5 gigahertz S4 CPU, dual core, 8 gigs of storage, a gig of RAM, 8 megapixel camera, all the bells and whistles, and a really, really nice, clean implementation of Android OS 4.04 Ice Cream Sandwich, which is some tasteful and useful enhancements on it. Should you get it? If you're a Motorola fan, if you like your Atrix, if you've always wanted a Razr, then, well, for sure, definitely you should. The only thing that holds us back from saying it's every bit as good as the One X and the Galaxy S3 is the camera, which is just okay on this. It doesn't compete. So if having a really good camera is important to you, that's where this guy falls short. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Visit our website for the full review, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.